Hello, everyone, and welcome back to We're Watching Star Trek, the original series. I am Brandon, and as always, we've got Paul.
Yo. Hey, what up, people? Here again, doing the thing, you know?
And we got Dan.
How's it going?
And today we are going to cover Season 1, Episode 12, The Menagerie Part 2. Original air date was November 24th, 1966. But before we get into this, I actually wanted to ask you guys just kind of a general Star Trek-related question that I actually saw on Twitter. And somebody had asked, like, they'd mentioned, Kirk has his like engage saying or whatever whenever they go to warp or they impulse. I think Picard had, what did he have? Like, make it so or something like that.
Yeah.
I think Kirk
had
had like punch it or something like that. But I guess the question is, if you guys were the captain, like, what would be your phrase to like go to warp or impulse?
Oh my gosh. That's an interesting question. Let's see. I don't even know, bro.
Because like I told you guys, like, when we played Star Trek Bridge Crew, I was pretty much always a captain. So whenever it was time for us to do that, like, first of all, our crew was like the least serious crew ever. Like, we'd be court-martialed probably daily just for, for like just fucking everything up. So like, nothing was serious. We died all the time. So basically, they're just like, oh yeah, we're set up for impulse. We're lined up when warp coils are charged. So I'm just like, do the thing. Which is a really shitty. Just do the thing.
That was your order?
Yeah, do the thing.
Oh my gosh, it's surprised I even survived. Hey, yo, do the thing. What thing? Do the thing.
But like, that was it for everything. Like, oh yeah, the torpedoes are charged and I'm locked on. All right, do the thing. Like, just do it. I don't care. We were really loose bridge, and there was a lot of drinking on that bridge, like especially during combat. So just do the thing.
For real.
I think mine would be Giddy Up. Because I want to pay tribute to Seinfeld.
He said, "Giddy up!" Oh my gosh, you're fired. The first day you're my captain, I'm like, "Yo, beat him up right now."
Yeah. So
he giddy up to you.
So if anybody listening to this has ever wanted to get into podcasting, we're gonna have an opening here in a second because I don't think Dan's gonna be joining us any longer after this episode.
Well, you guys don't like Giddy Up?
Yeah, he's gonna have to giddy up and get on out of here.
Warp speed, sir. Giddy up. Like, what? No.
But what about you, Paul?
Let's go, man. I don't even know, but giddy up ain't it.
You don't know what it is, but you know it ain't that.
I know it ain't giddy up. I know it's not giddy up. It's definitely just, I don't know. Let's go. Let's do this.
I just want to be on that bridge one time to hear it, and then I'll request a transfer.
Like, the captain is insane on this ship.
Oh my god!
Like, sir,
yo, what's going on, man? He said, "Giddy up, sir."
Yeah, sir, we're locked on. Warp coils are charged, and we're ready for warp. And you're just back there in your chair, and you're like, "Giddy up,
giddy up,"
and you just go. All right.
I might say engage as a tribute, probably.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I'll think about that as we're doing this. And at the end, I'll probably have a really good one.
But it's not going to be do the thing or giddy up.
Yeah. Do the thing, giddy up are not allowed in my army.
I mean, it could have been worse. Like, he could have gone with something like just like a slogan for like follow your nose or like dangerously cheesy. We're ready to go. Dangerously cheesy. And you just go.
That'd be great.
Yippee-ki-yay! Warp speed. Yippee-ki-yay! Oh my gosh.
Okay, so the Menagerie Part 2. So the Enterprise, it's moving through space, moving real quick too, from what I saw in that little cutscene. And then Kirk is just like narrating everything that happened in the Menagerie Part 1. But he's in a personal log. He's not doing his captain's log because he's not acting captain right now. It's Jose. So he mentions that Spock is pleading guilty. Yes, he's pleading guilty.
Wait, hold on a second. Hold on. So he says personal log and captain's log differently in the show?
Yeah, he always makes mention. And that's the thing. It's like we have captain's log, which I believe is like it's happening right now. We have captain's log supplemental, which I believe is the log after at the end of the episode. So like he narrates from a time in the future. And then this was just a personal log. So,
dude, if you brought that up, I had no idea. I never listened to what he said at the beginning when he did things. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So if you
I've
hear
never noticed that either.
If you hear Captain's Log supplemental, it's everything is like he's basically. It's almost like you are reading the events of what already happened, but you're watching the record of it. So like it's already happened, and he's just narrating from the future.
Okay.
And he
Okay.
always
Okay.
uses
I got
past
you.
tense phrases when he's doing that as well.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so Spock is not bleeding guilty. He's pleading guilty to the charges of unlawfully taking command of the Enterprise, sabotaging the Enterprise's computers, locking it on a course for Talos 4, and forcibly attempting to transport Captain Pike to the planet. And I did look this up, and Pike is not played by the original actor from the pilot. Apparently, that guy was unavailable, and he was too expensive. So they were like, yeah, we don't really need him to do much. Like, just sit in a chair, so we're not going to pay him for that.
Oh, see, I've been talking about that. I've been wondering if that was a real actor.
I
I never
didn't
looked
think
it
they
up.
were the same actor.
Yeah, I wasn't sure
I
about the
wasn't sure.
makeup.
Makeup, dude.
Yeah.
Makeup. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, they got a guy that they thought looked close enough. And I mean, that was good enough for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kirk just continues to narrate the previous episode, and they're playing some footage from the pilot again, and we get the opening for the show. And we come back. The court martial has been reconvened, and Jose reminds Spock that contact with Talos 4 is forbidden. And Spock apologizes, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, no, you guys don't have any choice. Like, that's where we're going." So he tells Pike that the Keeper has taken control of their screen and asks Pike if he understands. And Pike beeps once for yes. So Spock continues the story of Talos 4, and the screen goes back to showing what happened. This time we're in the jail cell with Captain Pike when he was captured by the Telosians. It's just, his first time meeting them.
More and more useless pilot things we already watched a long time ago, people.
Yeah.
More of that stuff.
Yep, this is just, his first meeting with him, and he's like, when he was testing the limits of his cell, and actually it was really funny. Like, I noticed when I was watching this that we're not that far removed from having watched the pilot. Like, we're only 11 episodes in, or whatever. What is it, 12 now? And
yeah,
like, the show has changed so much since then. Just even like quality wise of the filming.
Dude,
like, for some reason their filming looked just really low budget.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed, how all the clothes look different, everything looks different, all the background extras look different. Like, it's so much different than it used.
Yeah, you would have thought that was filmed like 5 years before this.
Yeah, it looks really weird.
Yeah. So they go, Spock is explaining to Kirk and Jose that the Telosians controlled Pike's brain during this time, and he says that they could make him live any place and any time in any situation that they wanted. And then they just go back to watching that on the screen, and we get the fight on Rigel 7 with, they just kept calling that guy the Killer, but he was just like a dude in fur. And I still actually really liked that fight. I think it was still probably one of the best choreographed fights. Like, okay, I don't know if it was choreographed, like they just threw them together, like, yeah, just have a little fight. But it was still like one of the better ones that I've seen in this entire series, and way better.
Fight was terrible.
Really,
the fight was terrible. It was just good for that time. If you think about it, in that time, it's just all about strength. There's no athleticism. There's no It's just all about being strong and hitting people and pushing.
Well, I mean, like, just compared to what we've seen so far, like, not comparing it to modern day fight scenes. Like, I thought it was great. I thought the Spock one in the Menagerie Part 1 was terrible.
This show, for this show, then yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, the one with
I did notice this time around when Pike had the spear and he was kind of shoving it into the Barbarian on the stairs, and the Barbarian's like, "Oh, I don't care that you got this metal spike, in my chest," and just kind of smacks it away.
Yeah, and then also the tip of that actually bent a little bit, like it's like foam or something. Like, it was like rubber or foam.
Yeah,
he was poking him, and it's just like it was bending.
He's like, "That's not right."
Yeah, that's why that guy didn't give a shit. But also the end of that fight was really funny too, because the guy just jumps off this like several foot high ledge, and Pike just kind of holds this spear up and impales him. So if Pike didn't hold that spear up, like, what was the guy's plan? Was he just going to do a body splash and go for the pin? Because he just jumped right onto his stomach. It's like, what was the plan there if he didn't get speared?
Body splash for the pin. He was going to jump down and give him a punch or a kick or something,
But like, he landed directly on his stomach.
He didn't even try to do like the Macho Man elbow drop.
No, nothing.
Oh.
Yeah, so they're watching the fight, and then they get through that, and then the video stops because Pike has actually fallen asleep. And Spock says that they stopped transmitting because they knew that Pike was fatigued. Like, and Captain Pike's like, I've seen this one. Like, I don't need to stay awake through this. So he just nods off.
He's like, "Dude, I was there."
Yeah, he does. He doesn't need to see any of that. But Kirk notes that the Telosians, they must care about him, if they're willing to stop this because he's fatigued and they want him to go get some rest. And Spock says that, yeah, they do. They want him back alive. So Jose just keeps being Jose, and he demands to know why they want him back. And Spock just says that you got to be patient. And Jose reminds him, reminds Spock that he's on trial, that he's got to answer all of the questions that are put to him. And Spock just he says the answer would be unbelievable, and you're just going to have to wait to see it. And then we get another commercial.
But was it really though?
No, I predicted it like within 10 minutes of the first Menagerie.
I'm letting it go, and I will give my summary at the end.
So yeah, we go to commercial. It comes back, and Kirk's personal log is going, and they know that they're only an hour away from Talos 4 as they reconvene in the trial. And they're just continuing to watch the video of Pike's adventure. So here we get Pike trying to figure out how the Telosians work, and Vina's trying to convince him to stay there and live this happy life. And we get the crew outside blasting the elevator. And how the fuck is there no seizure warning on Paramount Plus for this episode? Like, dude, Jesus!
I thought the terrible flash is back again.
It's
what I found funny about the whole situation is that they're showing that Pike's crew was trying to rescue him. Like, wouldn't that have been in the notes that would have after the mission? Like, they would have already known that part.
Yeah, but that stuff's all it's top secret now. Like, you can't just read that.
Yeah.
That whole report.
Well, I bet Jose knew that though. He's the high-ranking officer.
I don't know. I think they're classified.
I mean, that's true. He did give Kirk the okay to read that, which means that he would be able to get in there. But maybe he just didn't give a shit. Maybe he's just like, we're not supposed to go. I don't care why.
Yeah.
Yeah, but seriously though, Paramount, like, seizure warning for this. But Jose puts together that Pike was captured as like breeding stock, and so Pike just beeps once. He's like, hell yeah. And Kirk wonders,
he's like, yeah, man.
He's like, I wish I'd have stayed too.
I would be looking like this right now.
Yeah,
he's like, hindsight, I would have been better off being breeding stock.
Yeah, but hey, you know what? The Enterprise crew learned how to travel through time, so can they go back and fix that? Like, fix the accident from Pike?
Ooh.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, they could. Oh, yeah. Right at the end, they learned that time thing. But probably why they classified it. Because once they did the actual accidental time travel, they probably classified the entire mission and made the
planet. Well, no, the time travel was from the episode with the virus. Like, it was way after Pike's stuff. Like, Pike would have been injured at that point. That was the episode at the end of the virus one, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
Which I really hope that they expand on that. Like, I hope they do not just... They're like, hey, we discovered time travel, and then they just never mention it again.
Yeah, maybe in the future they'll come up with a way to bring him back to a better thing.
But Kirk wonders why, like, they wanted Pike as a breeding stock, and Spock points him to the video as it starts playing again. And it's just that the Telosians are giving Pike some food and showing him what the punishment feels like. So they do like the whole hell thing, and then he's testing their ability to read rage, which they can't do. And they put him in that illusion of him being home on a picnic with Vina and his horse Tango. And then they talk. He and Vina talk and whatever. And they go to the Orion fantasy where Vina's green, like dancing chick. And I did learn. I think we discussed this outside of the podcast, but I did learn on the lower decks that the Orion women can release a strong pheromone that makes it really hard to resist their intended target. So that's what was going on in this scene.
Yeah. I heard that they were explaining it in this episode.
Yeah.
It's a green Orion. He called her, I wrote it down. He said, Green Orion slave girl.
Yeah.
What's the slave part about?
I guess Orions are like they're big time like slavers and pirates. Like they're just all around just like nasty people.
Okay, I didn't understand. Yeah, maybe one day, maybe we'll get to go to that planet eventually, the Orion planet. I'll get to see the dynamics of what's going on the planet.
Yeah,
because if you like, why would you call her a Green Orion slave girl? Like, is she a slave because she has the pheromones? But it's just the pheromones. Why is she a slave when she can just get people to do what she wants them to do? That's a whole different level of thing.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question.
So I didn't understand the Green Orion slave girl term. I was like, oh, is she a slave? Like, she's a slave girl. Why is she a slave? That's what That's why I'm curious about that planet and dynamic in general. It sounds interesting to me, like to go to a planet like that and then have some Kirk do his Kirk thing, say some woman, whatever, I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, that was the moment when Kirk woke up. He's like, "Whoa, what's going on here now?"
Yeah.
He's like, wait, we got
He's like,
green
oh,
women?
what? I've
He's
been
like,
Orion in years.
He's like, how is Pike resisting her?
He must have superpowers.
Is he a Gary Mitchell?
Yeah, she's just another Gary Mitchell. Or he is, sorry. The thing that I thought was weird about this was, like, Vina was oddly comfortable with just being green all of a sudden. Like, I know she knew the whole thing was an illusion, but she, like, I would still be weirded out, you know? You're just suddenly green?
She's probably used to making it look like whatever they wanted to, if you think about it, because they can change their illusion however they want to. So she was comfortable however it was.
I would like to think before her ship crashed that she was a big fan of She-Hulk. So she's like, "Oh, hey, I want to be green."
That's her fantasy.
I do have one question, and it pertains to the pilot, and I can't remember if they addressed it. Okay, since she wasn't beautiful, right, and they determined what beautiful was, how did they know what a beautiful human looked like?
That would probably be from Pike's mind, wouldn't it?
What is that like? Once Pike came down, they scanned him immediately and read his mind to see what beauty was and made her beautiful and changed everybody else like to be whatever.
That's what I assumed.
I mean,
okay, I mean, I know it's pertaining to a long information, but I was curious about that.
Well, because towards the end of the episode, they even state like, "Oh, they've never seen a human before, so they didn't know how to quite put her back together."
Yeah, but so then how are they having these images of her doing all this stuff then if they don't have any humans as reference, unless they went through Kirk's mind to get the information?
I think that was from Pike's mind when they read his mind, like,
this is what
Pike. Humans are supposed to be.
Yeah, they were using Pike's fantasies, and like that's how they knew about his home and everything. But yeah, that is one of the things that we did discuss was like how they didn't know how to put her back together, despite the fact that she looks almost exactly like them, just without a huge fucking head, and that there were probably like dead bodies and stuff around that they could, or just get into her mind. Yeah, like that was a huge thing that we were just like, okay, whatever.
Well, but gotta remember I think she was a. Wait a minute.
Yeah, she would have been a baby, but I think there would have, or at least a child, but I think that there would have been, bodies around, or just really anything.
Reference.
Yeah, or just look at themselves. Like just look at themselves. Just be like, okay, she's got two arms. You got another shape, basically the same thing, just without the big ass head.
Yeah.
So
yeah, good point.
Yeah, but so Kirk asks if the green Orion slave girl is Vina, and Pike beeps once for yes. If it wasn't obvious, like, come on, Kirk, you're supposed to be better than that.
Smarter than
that.
Yeah,
he must have really just been falling asleep in there.
Yeah.
I told you he was.
Yeah, and here's one of my favorite.
He's like, my best friend's on trial. I'm gonna fall asleep.
Yeah, but here's one of my favorite lines of this entire series so far, because Jose says, "Yeah, they're just like animals, vicious and seductive." I'm like, you find animals seductive? Like, maybe I learned a little too much about Jose today.
What's that thing that people are into, furries or whatever?
Yeah.
Is that what they're called, furries?
He's just a big, furries, or he's just into bestiality.
What is it, the 22nd century?
he finds animals seductive.
Vicious and seductive. I mean, I get what he was trying to say. Like animals in their own animal kingdom, they're vicious and seductive. That's how they are to each other. But when he said it, though, it's way out of context. So you have to dig like way deep into it. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I just think he finds chipmunks sexy. I don't know. It's just that's his thing. It's in the future. They don't judge.
That's true.
No. Yeah. No, it would not be busting nuts with squirrels. Okay, sorry. Sorry, I apologize. Sorry, no animal love here. Vicious and seductive.
So so he goes on to say that no human male can resist Orion women, and then we go to the commercial and we come back to another personal log from Kirk, just recapping everything that we've seen on the screen, and they continue the video. It's really weird because we're just watching a video of people watching video. But
yep, that's kind of what it is.
So Pike leaves, he leaves the dance party and he goes back to his cell, and then his crew decides to try to go rescue him, but their equipment doesn't work. And then number one and the attractive yeoman are transported to Pike. Not to say that number one's not attractive, but I think we went over this. The yeoman is she's more my type. And then we get like
for sure.
We get Pike trying the rage strategy, and then he's trying out the phasers, but they don't work. And actually, this is where I realized something I didn't realize the first time is after he tries the phasers and he drops them on the floor, he intentionally dropped them by that trap door while he was.
Yeah.
But while he was doing that, he was talking about how he's enraged and how they can't read it. So they would not have been able to read his mind to get his plan to grab them because he was in his enraged mode while he was dropping those phasers right there. And I didn't catch that the first time.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I caught it the first time. I just didn't think about it.
Yeah. So the Telosians, they tell Pike and the other women that he's got to pick one. And yeah, I still pick the other yeoman with the unusually high sex drive. It's just funny that she's a horn dog though. Like they wanted to make mention of that. They're like this lady over here, she's real cool, but this one over here, she's horny. So
she wants the baby bad.
Yeah. She's all about that Pike. You think she would be more into Kirk or Pike?
I think everybody's more into Kirk. I think when Kirk walks in the room, everybody's like, "Oh man, Kirk, this guy again."
Yeah. So then, later Pike catches the Telosian guy going for the phasers, which actually all the Telosians were played by women, and then their voices were ADR'd over by men.
I didn't know that.
Yep. And
Okay.
Really?
Yep. It was in one of the trivia things I read shortly after we did after we covered the pilot. Also, I want one of those phasers. I like the ones that they use currently are pretty cool, but like those phasers are just
the original dumb ones.
They're just cool.
Yeah, they're very cool. I like them too.
So then the video stops playing, and Jose is just like, "Screw it, we'll go on without it." And Spock asks Pike to signal that he wants them to wait, saying that he tells Pike, "Hey, it's your chance at life here." So Kirk asks how it's Pike's chance, if he's going to be kept. If he would just be a prisoner in a cage in the zoo again if they reach Talos 4. And Spike pleads for them to wait while he waits for the video to come back, but it just doesn't come back on. Like his VCR is busted.
Yeah, this was a really weird point at this moment in the show where they're just like, "Oh, we're going to cut the feed for no apparent reason."
Yeah, I wasn't sure why that happened either. It was really
we
weird.
got to make the episode longer somehow. Oh, let's just make the feed cut off.
Yeah, just technical difficulties.
I didn't even notice that, honestly.
Yeah, so Jose asks Pike if Spock is guilty, and Pike beeps once for yes. So Jose also is like, yeah, he's guilty. And then Kirk is like, okay, if we're voting, then yes, obviously he's guilty as well. And then we get a commercial.
I thought it was weird that Pike voted guilty when Spock is trying to help him out.
Well, I think Pike's been against it from the beginning, right? He's just been beeping no the whole time.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to do any of this.
Yeah, he didn't want to do that, yeah.
But it questions, though, why is Spock doing this? You would feel like Pike somehow told him that he wanted to go back there.
No,
I just don't believe that Spock would have started breaking the rules out of nowhere.
I think Spock broke through. That's the thing. They didn't really explain too much too. I bet Spock realized Spock realized what was going on with them, and logically he thought about that place immediately.
Yeah,
Right,
and I feel like Pike just didn't want him to risk
loyal.
himself.
Yeah, he's loyal to the captain. He's loyal to all the captains. He's loyal to both captains, and he realized to prove to Captain Kirk what he was willing to do for Captain Pike matters. Because if he's willing to do this for Captain Pike to make sure he's going to do this, then imagine him telling Kirk, "Hey, this is how I will treat you if you're in a situation. I'll do whatever I need to do to make sure you're safe and protected in a place where you need to be."
So you don't think Pike had anything to do with this then?
No, I don't think so at all. I just think it's all Spock. Logically, Spock thought about something, did it, and he just did it because he knew it was the right thing to do, and logically, it made sense.
Yeah, because Pike was against it from the beginning, and like I said, I think it was literally just he just didn't want Spock to risk his life with the death penalty for doing this for him, and that's why Pike's just been against it the entire time. I think he just, hey, you're just screwing yourself. Like, don't do this.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I liked about this was that it really gives you a good look at Kirk in that although, Spock is his really good friend, like probably is one of his best friends, he still understands that he has to do his duty and that he can't let his feelings for his friend get in the way of, his duty to the Federation and Starfleet and all that. And he delivers the guilty vote, which would be like, that's a tough place for him to be in. But, he's a guy full of integrity. So after they have their vote and everything, we have the commercial, and then we come back, and the Enterprise approaches Talos 4 and enters the planet's orbit. And then Spock informs Jose that the Telosians control the Enterprise now, and so that's when he's like, that's when you're going to get your answers. And then the video starts playing again, and it's when Pike and his crew escape to the surface of Talos, and that the Keeper, which is like the head Telosian, was like, "Oh, we wanted you to be here. You've walked right into our trap." And Pike bargains his life for the life of his crew. And then that's when number one is just like, screw this, like, I'm just going to kill us all, and starts overloading her phaser to just blow them all up.
Dude, like,
what a great moment on her behalf.
I really do like her, by the way. I'm hoping that when we talk, without going to anything else, we're talking about the other Star Trek show is going to be about Pike in the future. But I really hope she's a great character.
Yeah, I hope she gets.
I hope someone really does her justice. Yeah, because, like, I don't know, like, I don't know why she's so interested in me. Like, I have no idea why I'm interested in like what she does and how she's going to be, because I know something about her makes me want to hope that she's interested in it in the future episodes or whatever.
From what I've seen, she's actually supposed to be kind of a main focal point, but I hope that they keep her as like the badass that she was in this episode.
I think that's what it was.
Like, give her the development, but don't like humanize her too much. Just make her fucking badass.
Yeah, make her I'm hoping.
Yeah. So that's when the other Telosians appear, and they transfer the Enterprise's records to the Keeper, and humans are too violent to be kept alive, and it turns out that they don't like to be kept in cages, because no shit, you didn't have to be a mind reader to know that.
Right.
Like, even when it's good for them, they just don't like it. So then they just prepare to go back to the ship, and Vina says she's not going to go, and the Telosians reveal that she was disfigured in the crash, and they didn't know how to put her together because they're dumb as hell. And then she gets to keep her illusion of beauty, and she goes back inside.
Oh, yeah, one thing about that. I still think that transition from her being beautiful to the monster is so cleanly done still.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's like
absolutely.
Like, you're looking at it, and slowly, like, her shoulder starts going up, and she, like, gets into this, like, form slowly, and it's just, like, I don't know what they used back then to make that camera trick work, but it looks really good. It held up very, very well. Like, yeah. It held up so well, particularly when everything's practical back then, and it's not a lot of computer stuff like we have today. So I think it's just really impressive.
I imagine that would have been a fairly difficult shot.
Yeah.
It's like, I wonder if that's the kind of thing where they like have to record some, and then like they do the makeup effects with, and then she like has to get right back into frame, and like whoever's in charge of continuity has to make sure that like everything is perfect, and then they just kind of meld the shots together.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be a rough job.
Watch, that was probably like an all-day shoot just to do that one scene.
Well, a lot of them, I guess I would think it'd be a lot of like photographs taken real fast or something, and then putting together in a way where we can't see it, and then it works like that way, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, back then it had to probably be way harder than it is now.
Yep.
So yeah, she gets to keep her illusion of beauty, and then we go back to the court-martial, and they're done watching the video, and they didn't rewind it, so Blockbuster would be pissed. Kirk approaches Spock, and then Kirk turns to talk to Jose, and then Jose just disappears. He puts on the one ring, and he's out of here.
Which I did not see coming, to be honest.
No, yeah, that was the biggest surprise of this like this whole thing that's about to happen. I was like, well, shit, I didn't see that coming. So yeah, the Keeper transmits his thoughts to Kirk, and he says that Jose was just an illusion the entire time, and he was never really on the ship. And he says that Spock told them about Kirk's strength of will, and that they planned this whole court-martial to distract Kirk from trying to take back control of the ship. And I was like, damn, that's really good.
Yeah.
Like, Spock knows Kirk so well. So the Keeper says that Pike is welcome to spend the rest of his life with them, unfettered by his physical body, and that the decision falls to Kirk and Pike. So Kirk tells Spock...
Hold on. There's something... What he said when he says that, we're like unfeathered by his. Who uses that language? Like, I know what unfeathered means.
Aliens in the '60s.
Oh my God! Some of the wording sometimes, bro. Some of the words in here, like, and my brain knows what they mean. Like, I don't know how my brain even knows what they mean. It's like I've already knew what they mean. I was like, who uses the term unfettered? Like, ever?
I like it. It's kind of classy.
Well, yeah. I get it. Yeah, I get big words that seem classy, whatever. It's just one of those words where they said, I was like, come on, like, speak normal. Speak like a human being. Like, I don't know.
So Kirk tells Spock that even though the regulations are explicit, Spock could have gone to him and explained, and Spock says that, the way I did it, I'm going to be the only one facing the death penalty, and that's enough.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, like it's the whole thing was, he didn't want Kirk to get involved because he knew Kirk would help, and he didn't want Kirk to, be at risk for the death penalty. But then he knew him well enough to do this whole thing with Jose and, keep him from taking back the ship. Because Spock had to believe that, if he didn't occupy Kirk during this whole thing, that Kirk probably would have prevailed and just ruined the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which I like, because we've been talking about this for a while now on our podcast, who would win between, Spock and Kirk. And it's interesting that Spock was able to play, several moves ahead of Kirk this time.
Yeah. What I thought was crazy was that the Telosians could reach as far as they did with their mind powers. Like, damn, are they powerful or what? They were 6 days away or something like that, or like 4 days or something like that.
Is that why the planet is off limits, you think?
We never really find out why it is. Because like we had said, really the only thing that happened at the end of the pilot was they left them to die.
The reason why is because, remember, the Telosians were talking about, they were worried about humans learning their abilities.
Oh, yeah, they were.
Remember?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
And they said they would use the abilities for destruction if they ever got them.
But like you don't have to forbid people from going there. Just the Telosians can be like, no, and then just send them away.
Teach ya.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so they get interrupted by Uhura, and she has a message from Starbase 11 that says that after the viewing of the video of Pike's contact with Talos 4, that they are suspending General Order 7 for this particular occasion, and that no action is being contemplated against Spock. And I was like, it's an all's well that ends well thing.
Yeah, it would have been good if this had a crazier result or reaction at the end.
Yeah. So Kirk asks Pike if he wants to go to the Telosians, which is like probably the most important part of this entire thing. They're just taking him there, and they don't even know if he wants to go.
He never even asked if he wanted to go or not.
Yeah, like, hey,
it would have been funny if he would have said no.
This is right, because Kirk never asked him though, like because they didn't really know what the reason they were going there. So Kirk, for asking him this time, say, "Oh, you want to go?" That justified Kirk letting him go. Right? Because you got to think about it. Kirk didn't know that he wanted to be here.
Well, they knew that the plan was to get him there. They just didn't know why.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he beeps once. He's like, yeah, he wants to go. So Kirk asks Spock to take Pike to the transporter room to see him off. So Spock is wheeling Pike out, and Kirk stops him and asks him to come back when he's done. And Kirk says, you've been showing a regrettable tendency towards flagrant emotionalism.
I wrote it down, bro. I wrote it down.
Yeah. So Spock cuts him off, and he's like, well, there's no need to insult me.
He
says I've been completely logical about the whole thing.
It's like, don't be kind of emotional. Like, that's like, what'd you call me? Like, oh, that's messed up.
But that was funny, though, was like, I expected them to both kind of, smirk, nod their head, and move on, but neither one of them did. It was almost serious.
I think there may be a future repercussion with their dynamic. I think there should be. Like, not if there is or not, but it should be. Because he's always given Spock 100% trust no matter what. But this is a betrayal and a good thing at the same time. So you got to decide what balance of thing do you keep your mind on. The fact that he did this for the captain, or the fact that he did this to you as the captain.
Right.
I just think that's the interesting part of it.
Yeah. So Spock wheels Pike away as the Telosians contact Kirk to show him that Pike and Vina are getting in the elevator together, and the Keeper says that Pike has his illusion and that Kirk has his reality.
Here's my problem with that whole scene right there. Spock literally took him out 5 seconds ago. How the hell are they already down on the planet?
Transporter.
The transport room right next to the room where the court's being held?
You realize that imagery is from the original pilot, though. It's not a new image.
Yeah, that was my biggest problem with this, is that the original ending to the pilot was that everybody got to go back to their ship. Vina decided that she was going to stay, and then the Telosians gave her an illusion of Pike, so it was not the real Pike that stayed. So on this, they cut that footage out, so you didn't get to see her get the illusion of Pike. and they said that's the real Pike,
Like,
with an
yeah,
illusion of himself. So then when
yeah,
you go back and air, like when you go see the pilot years later after it aired, because it's canon, right? So like this stuff actually happened. There's gonna be
yeah,
a bit of a mismatch there.
yeah.
So like,
It's
which
just
one's the real
it's
one?
weird. Yeah, yeah. It's just one of them weird things.
Like it's brilliant use of that footage. Like somebody, wrote their ass off to use that footage
Yeah,
with this
I
ending.
was gonna sum up into my thing. I think for an episode that I found super annoying, part one and part two, what a smart way to use some unused footage in an episode or two.
Yeah,
Like, because if I hadn't have seen the pilot already, this would have been probably one of my interesting two episodes I ever watched.
right.
It upsets me because I think so much work and writing went into this to make this all work together with the scenes and everything like that. I appreciate it. It's just I've seen the pilot already, so I don't have the love for these two episodes that I should have.
Right. But hold off on 1 second because we're just gonna get this finished up and then we'll just get into final thoughts. So
Oh, all
basically,
right,
like
cool.
that's the end of it. The video screen turns off, the episode ends, and then we get the credits of the show, which they actually use the credits of the pilot instead of the credits of what we're seeing now, which was that was
Oh,
pretty
did
cool.
they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't
Um,
know something.
okay. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and get into your final thoughts while you got it fresh in your mind, go for it, Paul.
Yeah, yeah. So first of all, we got to the end. My first thought is I'm really annoyed by this ending. And the only reason I'm annoyed is because I just watched two episodes ago. What was the episode we loved called? The carbonite maneuver.
Carbon maneuver. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That was so good. And it was the same idea as this. So getting this after that makes this look even worse of as of an ending, like this whole test thing. Like if this had been maybe at the end of this, like this was the season finale, or this was, I don't know, maybe next season, I might feel a little bit different about this. But it's just like it just the last two episodes have had the same idea at the end, and the other one was amazing, and this one was more like, I don't know, it's the same idea again. I just kind of stupid. And
Yeah, I almost
uh,
wish that we had watched this in its intended order because we're getting
yeah,
the when televised order and not the like
yeah.
when shot order because that would change. These would not be back to back during that.
No, I just if I hadn't watched the pilot, I swear this may be my favorite episode because there's so much smart writing in this and manipulation of the pilot in this that is I think that it's so amazing. But at the same time, if I hadn't watched the pilot and I watched this, would I even appreciate the pilot stuff even in there like I do now?
Right.
So it's like what I appreciate in here. I don't know if I'd appreciate it if I had seen it already, but like what a clever way to use a pilot to weave the story in. Like it's really cool. Man, I wish I hadn't watched the pilot so I could appreciate it more. But
Yeah,
it's better than
because
the last episode though. Man,
from what I remembered, you really enjoyed the pilot too. So like, I guess
yeah.
it's like, would you have rather have enjoyed these two, or would you have rather have enjoyed that one for what it was? Because like either way,
Mm.
you would lose the enjoyment of one of them.
Well, I probably would appreciate these two, and then I would have watched the pilot later on as a thing like that. Like, oh yeah, there's a pilot. Like that's one episode. Like, oh, watch it. Maybe I appreciate it more. I don't even know.
Yeah.
It just kind of like I said, good episode, great episode. Like for what it is. If I hadn't watched the pilot, if you guys didn't watch the pilot, hopefully you didn't. Maybe you did. Then you might appreciate this a lot more than I did. We watched the pilot, so I didn't love the episode as much as I should. But I still think it's a great episode. I knew this was close to being like an 8 or 9, 10 style episode.
Yeah. Does this get a negative rating from you then?
It gets not a negative rating, more of a just part two
Eh.
isn't terrible.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Dan, what did you think about this one?
I have to pretty much agree with what Paul just said on everything, honestly. I was glad to see they gave Pike a closing. They were able to close the chapter on him because, he would have just been left out there in the ether if they were never addressed, like, oh, hey, what happened to Pike? Why is Kirk the captain? So I'm kind of glad they addressed that. So I would give it a so-so. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it.
Yeah, to that point, actually, I'm kind of sad about the way that things ended for Pike. Like, even if he has his illusion that, he's able-bodied and everything, the back of his mind is going to know, that he's not. And I liked Pike
Yeah.
enough that I kind of, not kind of, I did not want this end for him. I really would have wished he got to go home and, like, ride his horse or dealing green animal women slaves, whichever one he wanted to do.
Yeah,
Well, that might be going on now anyway. So
one thing
Yeah.
though, like since we know the new Star Trek's coming out with him as the captain for his time when he's the captain of Enterprise or whatever. I'm hoping that they're smart and they like do something, and at the end he ends up where this is now.
Yeah, that'd be
Like
interesting to
like
see.
the
Just work it in.
like at the yeah like at the end he'll end up well yeah like at this will be the ending of the show. Like he's whatever he does, whatever he saves the kids, he gets put whatever he gets put through this, and then the end result is him going to this place to live.
Right.
Like if it hopefully because you got to think I don't know I'm not sure how long, I think it was a captain 10 years 13 years something before
I think didn't Spock say he served with them for like 11 years?
11
Some odd
years
months and
so
days.
they should have plenty of good episodes in there 11 years of meeting interesting races and stuff like that. They got plenty of people they can make him meet. So I hope they can make it clever and fun and make it feel like oh my gosh I don't want it to be look so good it doesn't look as bad as this.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to like what I'm trying to say like look too
Right.
CGI like so practical like
I'm sure it will. It's going to be modern. It's going to be modern filmmaking.
Yeah.
People actually have been complaining because they changed the carpet is no longer on the bridge of the Enterprise. They changed it all to like a really reflective black flooring. They're like, oh, the carpet's gone. Well, like, yeah, during the 11 years, they realized that you don't want a slippery ass surface when you're taking evasive maneuvers. So yeah, the carpet was an upgrade. As soon as Kirk moved in, he's like, get some carpet down on this.
Man.
But yeah, I'm with you guys on this. Okay, episode, not great, not terrible. I won't watch these two again. Actually, I probably won't watch any of this series again when we're done. I've been enjoying it, but I think it's a one and done for me. But yeah, just good use of the pilot footage. Super clever stuff there, and that's pretty much it. Like, it was very, very predictable from within like the first 10 minutes of the Menagerie Part 1. And really that's it. But I want to know, do you guys think that, because Pike's going to live out the rest of his days on this planet with the Telosians, and do you think that he just eventually gets bored of the illusion and asks for another one, and they just keep getting annoyed? Because like every couple of weeks he comes to them, he's like, can I get a different illusion? And they're just like, honestly, we just gave you one. And he's like, no, this time I want to be a Martian.
They get a hold of Spock and like, dude, you got to come back and get this guy.
Yeah,
he's always
so
asking
annoying.
for some crazy ass shit.
For me, it's like I just imagine him getting. Are they going to make him age, or is he going to stay that? Or like he's going to, even though he's getting old, he's going to feel like he's 30 something, and then just end up dying, or something. Or can they make brains last longer there so he can live a longer time? Or there's so much other random questions, like small questions to ask.
Yeah, well, and
does he end up having a kid with the chick also?
He can't have no kids. It's an illusion. He ain't got no blow.
He can have a kid in the illusion.
I mean, maybe they can make his dick work. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an illusion though. It's not real, but I guess you can give him a kid.
I just like to think that, he gets bored and he's like, okay, so this time, instead of me riding the horse, like I want to be the horse and have a copy of me riding me. Like, and they're just like, what is this? Bro. Like, what are you into, dude?
Get out of here.
No, but for real though, the one thing I want to know is like, so the Telosians are the people with the mind powers. That means that there's at least one of them always projecting an illusion into his brain, right? So do you think they do it in like shifts? Because you gotta concentrate on that, right?
Like three 8-hour shifts. Like, oh man, I got 3 to 2 o'clock, man. You got this, you got this, you got that.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Well, that begs the question: who's the real person that's being jailed if you have to keep up the illusion the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh, really, Dan? You gonna go there, bro?
We're not going in here. We're not going into this.
You didn't get that deep. First, you want to come with the yippee ki yay cowabunga intro,
So wait, Paul, what's your word then? You still haven't given us that.
I guess I'll just go with cowabunga at this point. I'm taking cowabunga.
Cowabunga.
I'm having my fun.
Oh, cowabunga is acceptable. Giddy up, snot.
Yeah, Warp 8. Cowabunga. Every time from now on, just.
And do the thing doesn't sound so bad.
And I want to point my finger, do finger guns too when I do it too. Everybody, hey, cowabunga! Like, yeah,
Yeah,
let's
now
do
we're
it.
hitting some weird lower decks shit. Um,
Oh man. What's the next episode?
the next episode that we are going to watch is
Mhm.
season 1, episode 13, because we're not skipping seasons or episodes like crazy people. And it is called The
Uh-huh.
Conscience of the King, which is a good title. And I hope
Oh,
that it sounds like it's going to be another thinker and not so much action, but hope it can't be worse than the Menagerie 1
Star
or
Trek.
2.
It's becoming a lot more thinking than it is action. More
Yeah.
and more as we go along. So
It's not that I
hopefully,
want action. I'm okay with super dialogue heavy stuff if it's good,
Mhm. Yeah.
but it's not always good.
Yep.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to join the discussion with us, we are on Twitter at WWST_podcast, and we are on Gmail. Do you guys happen to know our Gmail?
Nope.
That's right,
We're
and I only know it
watching.
because it's written down in front of me, and it
We're
is
watching Star Trek. Something.
WWSTpod@gmail.com.
Ah.
Yep, and we are everywhere that you find your favorite podcasts, including YouTube. And
Yay.
if you're listening and you could give us a rating, stars 1 to 5. If they do halves, you can give us halves as well.
He
We
means
don't take
five
quarter
stars
stars.
only. Only 5 stars. If you do it 1 star, then we don't appreciate that. 5-star reviews only. Or I will hunt you down and teleport you somewhere. Not
Yeah,
nice.
you have a very specific set of skills.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it for me. I got nothing else on these episodes.
Yeah, I'm out too. Later, guys.
Later.